Welcome to departmentleaders.com. We have an amazing guest today. Her name is Sherry Jackson. How you doing, Miss Jackson?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Just have a few questions to ask you. I'd like to thank you once again for being a part of our Department Leader Spotlight. And here is question number one. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've done in your role as a department leader?
Okay, so I'm Sherry Jackson. I have been teaching AP chemistry, all levels of chemistry and forensic science for the last 16 years. I have been the department chair of the science department since 2013. And I have also led a program for project-based learning for science teachers as well at Brooklyn Cayce High School.
Oh, wow. You have a lot of experience in leadership, and I'm quite sure our viewers will learn a lot from this segment. Can you give us one strategy, just one strategy that you've used within your department that has helped with academic achievement?
So one of the strategies that I think has been effective in improving academic achievement is doing strategy shares during our department meetings. So some of our teachers, of course, teach biology or courses that have an end of course exam attached to it. Some others, of course, teach courses that do not, but we do have exams at the end of the school year. So during our department meetings, it's important for me and for them to have each teacher share strategies that have worked for their students. And we're able to look at student work as a result of those strategies used in those specific classrooms. And then we're able to see if those strategies will work in our classroom. So as we're sharing strategies, we're learning from each other and is helping to improve student achievement. So one thing that may work in one classroom, we now can see how it can be used in another classroom.
Wow, and that's really a great idea, because if you allow your team to share what's working in their classrooms, then someone else can take a piece of that. That's an amazing concept, but you have to be intentional about that. You have to, make sure you plan those in your meetings. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So it's a part of our agenda for our meetings, our monthly meetings. Mm-hmm. So it would be embedded in the agenda.
Mm-hmm. What about, a part of your job as department leader is really communicating and building relationships with your department. What are some ways that you've built relationships with your team?
So as their leader, I usually try to become very familiar with who they are as individuals outside of teaching, just care about the whole individual. And then as an instructional leader, I hone in on what are their strengths and then areas of improvement. And I work with them on an individual basis to build them up in the areas where they may need improvement. That builds trust between them and myself. And also maybe have that happen between department members. So not just coming from me, but we also help each other to grow, and that builds trust and continuity within the department.
Well, I love what you said. You said as a department leader, you have to concentrate on the whole individual, because there may be some members in your department that are dealing with some things. And if you know about it, then maybe you'll be able to assist. It could be something as simple as, hey, let me watch your class for just 30 minutes to give you a breather. I know you got some things going on. That's focusing on the whole individual. That could simply, be having a conversation with a member of your department and let them know, hey, you need to do some things, for yourself. A lot of times as educators, we can work very, very hard. And we might just need that person to say, hey, take a break, relax this weekend. Do some things for yourself. You're doing a lot for for our kids, but do some things for yourself, because we need the best version of you when you're at school.
Absolutely.
So, yes, I love that. I love that. The other piece that you mentioned was that trust factor. If you're a department leader and this is your team, you have to be able to trust each other to get things done. And that's another part of the intentionality piece. You have to be intentional about creating experiences and opportunities, to build, trust. So that's some great stuff. As a department leader, I have to ask this one. What is the greatest challenge that you have faced as a department leader?
One of the greatest challenges that I believe I've faced is what I mentioned earlier, getting to know the whole individual, because sometimes as a leader, we may be confronted with things from people that we work with that are not truly representative of that person. We may perceive things that are inaccurate, is situational. And so as I've grown as a leader, I'm able to maybe look beyond what I see initially and be able to move forward with helping teachers to grow despite of other things that may be impacting how they show up, if that makes sense.
Wow.
And so that required me to grow as a leader, because people don't necessarily change, they show up as who they are. But as a leader, I had to learn how to lead beyond what I see. I had to understand what my role is and how to operate in that role, especially now during the pandemic. There are so many stressors that people are dealing with. And so sometimes their show up doesn't truly represent who they are. So as a leader, I have to hone in on, is this really an instructional issue, a school issue, or is there something else going on here? And be able to navigate through the situation with a little more with wisdom instead of just, textbook knowledge per se.
Wow. You have to, focus on the person. And you have to, build those relationships that would warrant, sometimes, taking a step back and looking at the total situation and not just from, an academic piece. If you had to give just one thing, one little bit of advice to department leaders nationwide, what would that one thing be?
That one piece of advice would really be to take care of yourself, because as a leader, we can't be effective if we're not taking care of ourselves, our professional selves, our personal selves, because when we get to work, we are carrying the weight for the educators that we work with. They're expecting us to be instructional leaders. They're expecting us to be a liaison in some cases between administration and the department. And so I have to be well mentally and physically to be able to do that effectively. So my piece of advice is make yourself a priority.
Wow. You have to make sure that you're well in order to treat the children well.
Yes.
I tell you, thank you, Ms. Jackson. You have dropped some amazing nuggets for department leaders nationwide. Once again, I'd like to thank you for being a part of departmentleaders.com.
Thank you for having me.